Hey everyone, Star Trek Picard Season 1, Episode 4, Absolute Candor is over, but we are just getting started here on Live Long On Podcast. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek TV and movie reviews. We're here to talk about this fourth episode. Let's bring in our guests.
Ooh, I can't hear Dave now.
Here I am. I'm back.
There he is.
Let's talk. So joining me today, I have Kevin Millard. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello.
And I got Jody Simpson.
Hello.
Jane, my wife, is taking this one off, much to our chagrin, but she's going to be a viewer for this episode and probably be back on the next one. So, hey, let's talk about this episode, guys. What did you think? High-level reactions. Let's go to Jody first.
Mostly a snooze fest. That's the easy. It was boring and there was just, I don't know. It just didn't hit me nicely, and I have a lot to talk about.
Okay. Let's park that for a second. Kevin, did you feel the same?
Yeah, nothing really happened in this episode, and just as it was starting, there was something starting to happen. Well, next week.
Yeah.
So, did it feel like a bit of a filler episode, maybe a little bit of a connector?
It's almost like they took this scene could have been 10 minutes in another episode, and this scene could have been another 10 minutes in another episode. It's almost like they just literally took the scrapings of different episodes and put them into an episode. It was almost like a flashback episode without a flashback. It was weird.
That's there were flashbacks.
There was, yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a bit, actually.
Starting almost every episode with a flashback, sort of filling in the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is unusual for Star Trek. Like, they've been doing it quite a bit through Picard, but
it's necessary in this show because we have such a large gap.
Yeah, this whole so when the show is picking up from 2399, 14 years earlier is 2385. So these flashbacks we're seeing they're about 6 years after the events of Nemesis, roughly. Okay, the first thing I need to talk about in this episode is this opening flashback that we start on, and maybe in particular Picard, because I want to kind of know what your guys' thoughts on this was. So let's bring in. Maybe we'll bring in an image here, just to help.
Oh God, no! Don't do it.
I'm doing it. So yeah, let's bring it in. I'll just.
There it is.
There it is.
I'm audio only now.
Yes, you're audio. So am I. Picard in his he kind of looks like a. What would you call him?
Indiana Jones mixed with Spy versus Spy.
Yeah,
with just a hint of DeForest Kelly.
I was gonna say like a 19th century colonial, going on either to India or Africa or on behalf of England or something like that. Like he's there to trade ivory or go into the heart of darkness. But yeah, so this was kind of the most jarring thing I think that the episode started with, because Picard comes down in his best getup here. Let's take that off for a minute.
You know what? That's a great way to this episode. Jarring.
Jarring. Interesting. I just thought that I think that Patrick Stewart, I feel like one of his conditions on coming back was, I'll do it, but I can wear whatever the F I want.
I do some cosplay.
You want to do some cosplay. He didn't want to have to necessarily wear the spacesuit all the time.
Some of the coolest episodes in TNG were the episodes where they were on the holodeck doing shit, and they were totally different than their normal outfits and everything. So I'm okay with that, as long as there's not too much of it.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting. Just this whole, I guess we spent a lot of time on this planet in flashback and in present day throughout this episode.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to, the Vashti. Did anyone else get a Star Wars vibe from this episode? Or maybe trying to be Star Wars-esque, in the sense that it kind of felt like The Mandalorian in some ways to me, with that Western feel. Jody, did you get that at all?
The only thing I can say that would remind me of that would have been when Luke and Leia kissed, or Not like that's about how I feel about this.
Wait, are you talking about Narek and his sister?
This is a terrible episode, and I'm just dying to say something.
Okay, no, we got to get through it. So yeah,
All right, let's get through it.
What did you like about it, maybe?
Oh, there were things I liked about it. Some of the backstory was neat. I don't like how Patrick Stewart acted towards the little child that's with the nurses, not nurses, the nuns. With that reaction, there's nothing genuine about this is a guy who can act the fuck out of anything, and it felt phoned in. Like it just.
So you felt like the whole backstory with on this planet with Elnor, who's basically, I felt like this episode was basically here to do a couple things, but mainly to introduce this Elnor character to the group, who it seems to be. And later that 7 of 9 is back, and that's sort of the big headline from this episode.
That's the best thing about this episode.
She's in it for 5 seconds.
And I'm not meaning that sexually in any way or anything like that. Just how she's introduced and what she says. No respect given. It was amazing. I liked it.
She owes Picard a ship.
And there's also a scene with Soji walking down a hallway, which I did like. Not the sliding, which we're going to talk about for sure. Mm-hmm. But when he says, "Oh, I have something to show you," and she's walking, and then she all of a sudden does the android tilt for a second. I don't know if anybody caught that.
No, I didn't.
Very cool. Very cool. It looked like exactly like Data. When Data was intrigued for that second, where he's like, that kind of thing. She does the exact same thing. It's amazing. Looked great. I was like, oh, good on you, girl.
Yeah. So we get a lot of this Elnor character in flashback and in present day. We do see 7 of 9, we mentioned. There's a bit going on the Romulan/Borg cube, which we'll get to. But I kind of want to start with this whole relationship with Elnor that's set up in the beginning, and this whole flashback with him and his Indiana Jones gear. Let's just let's bring in. I know this is not a great image here, but this whole
holy shit. Is that on a potato phone or what? Wow.
Well,
we got anything where this podcast has no we don't have a budget at all for this.
Sorry, that one.
I'll throw in a buck. We can get an Imager account. God.
Well, I thought it was nice that this whole backstory. I thought that actually Picard came through really well for the most part here. He was never a father himself. He had a strong relationship with his nephew, but I thought this was kind of nice overall.
I feel like it was true to the character.
Really? Okay.
He's so awkward around children, and all of a sudden
he is awkward. Yep. Yeah.
It's great.
He was, but is this showing some kind of growth on his part? In life,
I didn't get awkward from that scene though. Picard, yes, when he's awkward, he's like for instance that was it the Captain Picard episode where he gets stuck in the elevator?
Yep.
Yeah, and he's with the girls, with the girl and the tall girl, and then there's 2 other kids, I think, and you can see he's awkward in those interactions, but when you look at this, it just seems like it's he's like a nursery school teacher now. He's like, so children,
is that it's not true to the character because he's not awkward.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said it was true to the character. I'm like, what are you on drugs? Okay, never mind. Excuse me. I just wasted 5 minutes of viewer time there. Sorry.
Well, I think it's an interesting point because when I was watching it, I was like, we've never seen this side of Picard. We've never seen him sort of in this kind of level of that fatherhood character, that fatherhood role outside of maybe that relationship with his nephew. But that was very much an uncle and nephew relationship. He wasn't his father.
If they wanted to be true to the character, he should have brought that book and then looked at Elnor and said, "This book is for me, so I don't have to talk to you."
I love it. Sorry. Yeah. Well, when I was watching, I was like, this is Patrick Stewart. This is more Patrick Stewart than Jean-Luc Picard to me. I think Patrick Stewart is a father in real life. And I feel he definitely channeled that. Yeah. But if you compare it to even that early first season of Next Generation, where Picard is very uncomfortable with children being on board and having that as part of his duty as the captain is sort of oversee all these families on the board. But like he definitely does grow from that season 1 of Next Gen to when we like last saw him in Nemesis. Like he was a different person. So I think this is an extension of it. So I didn't have a huge issue, but the only thing that kind of like the first time I watched it was when he's like doing all the little sword fighting with Elnor, and then he gets the call from Raffi that the Mars attack has happened, and he goes, "What do you mean Mars has been attacked by synths or whatever?" And that felt the most like phoned in to me, like that line delivery. Or I don't know if it was the line was bad or that the just the dialogue was bad or a combination thereof. Like I definitely have noticed this at times when Picard or Patrick Stewart as Picard just gets cheeseball dialogue, and sometimes most of the time he does really good with it. This was an example I think he didn't.
Yeah, and I always thought like in this series, the only issue with that would be the only way to figure it out would just be to say, well, did the doctor say it? Because then it was cheesy. But past that, it's because that girl Alison Pill. Anyway,
yeah. So
sorry,
after we get all the backstory and all the flashbacks, we kind of come back to the ship, and it's Jurati. Maybe being as annoying to Rios as she is to you.
She's the new Barclay, basically.
Well, we were saying last week that she's kind of the Tilly of this show, Tilly from Discovery.
Yeah.
Who's Tilly?
Tilly,
don't worry about it.
The redhead with the ensign or the cadet on Discovery.
Were they on the first 4 episodes?
Yeah, she would have been in the first 4. She was like the roommate of Michael Burnham.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that the Jurati is similar to that she points out to Rios that space is boring. Most of the time you're at warp and there's nothing much to do. Luckily they have a holodeck on board, and we see that Picard has kind of recreated his study from his house in France on board.
Reuse the set.
Reuse the set.
That's all I thought. Like, they're reusing the set.
It doesn't matter, it really doesn't.
It's nice to have
be comfortable there or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's a room with sunlight, and it's got not a non-space feel.
But there's so many holograms walking around that goddamn ship. I think the whole thing's one holodeck.
Yeah, it seems like it. And we meet the next of Rios's personalities, his holographic alter egos. We meet the Emergency Hospitality Program or hologram, who I don't know if you would have a hospitality emergency ever.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Was like, what's the emergency? Like, all of a sudden, a diplomat has showed up at my house.
But
turn on the emergency hospitality.
Rios expresses that he hates this particular iteration. He fucking hates it, he says. I fucking hate that hospital.
There was an F-bomb there?
There was, yeah.
Huh?
Yes, he did. And god damn it, I hate it.
You're not liking it?
I am not liking the swearing in Star Trek.
This whole edgy shit that they're doing right now. Yeah, and I think they're just trying to get like the young kids and shit in, right? But it's like all of us grew up with Star Trek. We didn't need beheadings. We didn't need vaping. We didn't need smoking. And the only times that you ever saw smoking happen in any of the Star Trek series, it was always looked at and really frowned upon. Like, it was really nasty and like, only like drug dealers would smoke tobacco, like that kind of thing, right?
It was before the introduction of synth tobacco, and
synth tobacco. Is that actually canon? Synth tobacco? No. Okay, I was gonna say.
Yes,
I know that Next Gen like to put a lot of synth into everything, but
yeah,
never heard that one before.
But yeah, I don't know. Like that's they are trying to put a lot more edginess in this show in general. Rios is probably the best example of this. He swears the most. He's got the most. He smokes. He's got this sort of Han Solo-esque thing, and that's why I'm kind of coming back to like, I don't know. They keep trying to make Star Trek more and more Star Wars-esque, or maybe they're trying to just take some lessons from Star Wars, for better or worse. That we have like this sort of ragtag crew that we're sort of getting to get a sense of in this episode, that Jurati's the annoying one. Rios is this kind of cold and quiet, stoic guy who doesn't say much. Then you got Raffi, who's sort of damaged but clearly very resourceful. I liked her a lot more in this particular iteration. I thought she was she really kind of showed off how skilled she is as an officer and what she brings to the table. And then Picard himself, of course, right? And then I guess we get these other holograms that pop in and out, so Rios can have a little bit more personality. Do you want to talk anything about the other Rios hologram we met, which was the emergency tactical hologram, which was like a Cheech Marin?
Like stereotype city? Yeah, okay.
He's like, you fly, I shoot.
He's like, no problem, man.
Yeah. I don't know if he was Jamaican, but
well, you know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They're trying to.
But he was all. Yeah, I don't know if these are the same tattoos that the actor has, but this tactical one had tattoos, and he had the long hair, and he was kind of a rocker dude. And are you liking this angle to the Rios character? Plus, it's like the ship itself that these holograms.
I think this is like a Rios hologram is like their version of Q. Like he's gonna go nuts or something, or there's going to be an episode where all the Rioses are going to take over the ship.
Oh, you think there's going to be a mutiny from the
yeah, there's going to be like a holographic mutiny. The whatever's affecting the synthetics are now going to get into the holographic system, and we're going to have chaos. And it's going to be great, especially those holographic controls. I hope those things fuck up.
Kevin, any thoughts?
Not really. I don't know, but I don't know if they'll do that because it seems like that would be more of in a show that was episodic than serialized. Like there's not really much room for it in the story so far, anyway, unless they change.
Well, I know
direction.
We're still very much building this team. So now we've added Elnor this week, and we'll see.
I think that's a good addition because he can't fight for himself, so he needs somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs a bodyguard.
He's the young extension of Picard.
He needs a Worf, for lack of a better term, right? He needs a bodyguard, and he's picked this Romulan kid.
What was the name of the elf in Lord of the Rings?
Legolas.
Okay, anybody get that vibe?
Yeah,
like big time.
He showed up. I turned to Ashley and I said, "Oh, look, Legolas is in this."
I was hoping he was going to pick up like a bow and arrow. It would have been amazing. But anyway, sorry.
Yes. No. Yeah, no, he's just this whole like that they're fighting with swords in the future in space. Like I know that this has been established, but it's all been through more recent Star Trek stuff and stuff that Alex Kurtzman, who is the showrunner, I guess the big executive producer for Star Trek right now. He's the current Gene Roddenberry or Rick Berman. He has that role right now. And so if you go back to Star Trek 2009, the one where we had Nero, and there's that whole scene with Sulu and Kirk in that timeline, like fighting the Romulans with swords and everything. And the Romulans are big into their melee weapons. This is a fairly new thing for the Romulans to have. But yeah,
I think they're changing the Romulans up, and I've never liked the Romulans, so this is probably the best iteration of them.
Does this make them more interesting? Yeah, 100%. For
you,
I think it does. Jody?
You mean are the Romulans more interesting?
Do you think that the show is making the Romulans more interesting as a?
Oh, for sure. You see like the city of them, hanging out and stuff like that, and the cafeteria or bar or whatever it is kind of scene with Picard with the sign that he takes down, which by the way is one of the badass shots of this whole show.
Where he's throwing the Romulan only sign away.
Yeah, he takes the Romulan only sign, throws it on the ground, steps on it.
I was very confused by his actions. Let's just talk about.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like this shit. He's trying to figure out why the segregation has happened.
But he calls Rios. He says, "Beam me up in 7 minutes." But he's like, and then the next thing he does is he's like, "Before I do, I'm ripping this sign down. I'm going to sit down at the bar and order a drink, I guess."
I think this is that silent rage thing that they keep trying to put into Picard, because he's still a calm and composed guy. He doesn't lose his shit very often, and they want to kind of show I'm fucking angry, but I don't want to like completely go off the knocker because he's an old guy now, right? Like he can get crabby all he wants and everybody doesn't give a shit, right? So it's like this is kind of his way to kind of stick it to everybody that was watching. which I think was cool, personally.
Yeah, I think so, like that. But it was just the course of action he took there, where he was just like, I'll call Rios. He'll beat me up in 7 minutes. I'm going to pick this fight, and then I'm hoping it's all going to.
I don't think the intention was to pick a fight, though. I think he just wanted to kind of prove a point. And he's like, "What are they going to do? Attack me? I'm a fucking old guy." Like, that was kind of what he did.
Situation.
But this is after Raffi tells him that, hey, I'm monitoring the comm traffic. People do not like you. There's a good chance somebody might take a run at you. Yeah. And this guy who challenges him, the senator, he does it. He's like, he doesn't like just shoot him in the back of the head or anything. He's like, no, I challenge you to a duel and let's go out here and have a sword fight, like honorable guys and whatever.
This was only to link Picard to New Legautus or whatever his name is. Elnor, that's it. Elnor, unbelievable. Anyway, I just find that name funny. I'm sorry. Anyway, I've totally lost track of what I was talking about now.
Well, we're just saying with how the Romulans are
it's just linking the two of them together. Fencing was the thing. They wanted to show that Picard could actually sword play. That's all it was. It was filler.
Which we know that, like, that fencing's always been a big thing for Picard.
Yeah, but you got to remember, not everybody who's watching this show are people who have watched or even are familiar with previous Star Trek as well, right? So.
I would be amazed to get a perspective of somebody who's watching this show who is not familiar with Next Generation or the other Star Trek shows, because I would imagine this is highly confusing. Maybe still compelling, but
I think we should do that as like a midpoint episode.
Let's bring somebody in. Somebody who's been following this.
We just let them watch it, and then they can come on and we can ask them questions. It'd be fun.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Let's get somebody out. Let's figure out who that's going to be. Maybe Josh Shields. Because he doesn't really know a lot about the old Star Trek stuff. But he was doing the podcasting with us on Discovery.
Oh, okay, that would be cool.
Yeah. I kind of want to get to the whole Soji and Narek and the Borg cube, but let's stay on Picard and this Romulan stuff for now. So
what they're doing with this show, in that Picard has made a mistake, the Federation made a mistake, and now he's having to go around and convince everybody to follow him again. Like in the original show, everybody follows him because he's great. Right. But now he's got to convince everybody because he's not so great. He's not perfect.
Very much so. That this show is making him more human, for better or worse. So you get that example with him, like being
more of his flaws than his greatness, I guess.
Right, because he's kind of thought of as this like universally great person who did all these amazing things, but is also flawed in different ways, not perfect. Definitely suffers from. He's got an ego. He's got he's naive in what he promises people, because you can see in these flashbacks he's like, I promise you we'll be back, and there's no way that we could abandon this mission. So once he leaves that planet in that flashback and he goes back, and we know that he tries to quit and protest, and they resign, and then he just totally gives up after that. He never checks in on all these people. The Romulan challenges him heavily here, saying, that senator saying, so because you couldn't save everyone, you saved no one. Or is that the nun, the warrior nun? I can't remember who says that to him, but that doesn't seem in line with who he is, especially to come back 14 years later. That's especially that this is his greatest failure.
Well, it is.
Right. One of the other the fallouts of the fact that the Romulan rescue was abandoned, and this planet in particular, this region that it's in, became sort of the Wild West. It sounds like it's become an area of lawlessness, with warlords intimidating people, I guess. Or I need to understand that a bit more, but. They reference a group called the Fenrir Rangers. I don't know what that is, but they're not looking after this area anymore. But I don't know. That's where I was getting like that whole Western vibe. Like he's kind of coming into an old town many years later after the war's long over, and everyone's kind of bitter against him, and this whole area has gone to hell. And and Picard's not even aware of it. Like Raffi says to him, like, "What? You're just going to go to this planet?" Like, and Rios, you didn't warn him that this is kind of turned into a hellhole. And he's like, "I thought he knew." And clearly Picard doesn't know. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's been very much a hermit. I guess this hermit of Labar is now starting to feel more earned. Because I would think he'd keep up.
I'm surprised that they don't care that when she says, "Oh, we mentioned your name," and
it didn't impress them.
They were like, "We don't care. They're not a big fan of yours.
We're not a friend of yours."
Well, would you be?
I don't know. Like, at least he tried. So what this Romulan kind of accused, this guy who challenges him to the duel, he kind of says, like, if you had it, would have rather you would have never tried than to have tried and failed, or what happened. I don't know if I don't agree with it, but I don't. More so, do I even understand that sentiment? Like, this guy wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Picard and what he did.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Can we talk about these Romulan warrior nuns?
Sure.
Why not?
Okay, so we're told that they're called, and they are called the Kawat Malat, right? And they're enemies of the Tel Shiar. They're female only. I don't know why that's a requirement. Can't quite wrap my head around that, but that's part of their culture, I suppose. And that's this whole backstory for the Eleanor character. Do we think this is compelling?
No.
I don't know. I don't think, I don't think it's going to be a big part of the show. I think it was just to
give a backstory,
just to bring Eleanor in, and to explain why he's such a great fighter and all that. I think they're going to just kind of leave that alone now.
They're the greatest hand-to-hand warriors Picard has ever seen.
Yeah.
They pledged themselves to hopeless causes. And if they're the enemies of the Tel Shiar, I don't even understand how they've survived at all. I mean, because they're good fighters, but...
Well, we're finding out that the Tel Shiar isn't as great as it was supposed to be. It's not as powerful
as maybe they were portrayed to be.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, one impossible thing at a time, though. She says to him. But the title of this episode comes from their sort of mantra. They're called as absolute candor, which is the way they describe it is it's the opposite of the Vulcan. What was that? The what? Yeah.
No, it's like.
But that they're extremely candid, that they do not hold anything back, they do not mince words, they do not they speak only truth.
Yeah.
That's what and that they don't hold back any emotion from that either. So they felt very much like they're the antithesis of their Vulcan ancestors to me.
They kind of are a hybrid.
And they say it, the antithesis of Romulan culture.
Right.
The culture of secrecy and whatnot.
Right. So I think I like that part of it, that we're just getting to know more about these Romulans, because I've never found the Romulans to be super compelling until actually in these last 4 episodes.
Kind of a backstory.
Yeah.
They're right up there with the Bajorans for me.
They're right up still?
Don't care about either one of them. Nope.
No.
Watched all through Deep Space Nine because everybody was like, "Oh, gotta watch Deep Space Nine. Great, blah blah blah." Don't get me wrong, it is pretty good. But it's just, the Bajorans drive me fucking mental. Just like the fucking those guys, man. Even the Vulcans kind of drive me a little batty, but not as bad.
Yeah, no, I get it. I've always been like they're an antagonist, global or galactic power. That's how I used to think of them. But individually, I never thought
they're space Nazis. Move on.
Well, I always thought the Cardassians were the space Nazis.
Well, Cardassians too. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
they're actually probably more. That bright lights, 4 lights.
Did you get any excitement from seeing that old school Romulan ship?
No. No, not at all.
Oh,
No. I was like, oh, this really doesn't fit.
really?
Yeah.
So yeah, let's get it in here and let's show. Hopefully this will. There it is. I thought it looked gorgeous.
Okay, this shot does make it look pretty good, but then when they do the belly shot, oh, brutal.
Yeah, they call it a Romulan bird of prey, correctly so.
Yeah, it is.
And it was kind of neat seeing this ship. This comes from like the time of Kirk, right? And seeing them kind of spar with this ship. I thought that the space action was really fun. Actually, it
was great that we were in space on a show called Star Trek.
True. Okay.
It was good to be in space. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Took 4 episodes, but we finally got into space.
Yeah.
Good
no,
work.
it was kind of like that. That gave me the feels a little bit, like the nostalgia of seeing that ship back, or seeing that kind of class of ship, and they call it an antique Romulan ship. Anyway,
yeah.
If it doesn't do anything for you, it's all right. What did you guys think about the planet itself? The fact that it had this defense network, and that it makes a lot of sense to me that these planets would
remind me of Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, because they had around the princess's home planet, they had a big shield that was kept all the oxygen in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Remind me of that.
Instead of like an atmosphere.
I'm telling you, Dave, this episode's terrible.
But just that idea, like this is kind of a newer idea to see something like that shown, like a.
They live in fucking shacks, but they can get that going. Come on.
They bought it secondhand. They said.
Okay, go buy some secondhand fucking houses then.
They said it was primitive. Okay, I hear you.
God. Anyway.
Okay.
I'm going home.
All right. Any other thoughts on these on what we learned about the Romulans this week before we go into our next topic?
This episode made Romulans interesting. That's how bad it is.
What about and what about this Romulan, Narek?
Nah. Bored of him too. Like,
is he interesting?
I'm not finding anything on that Borg cube interesting.
I'm totally with Kevin here. Soji's good to look at, I guess, but past that, I got nothing.
He wants to teach her
nothing on that ship.
He wants to teach her about ancient Borg rituals.
Yes.
Without shoes.
Yes. Oh God, this drives me nuts. Oh. He's keeping this picture up so people can't see my face. That's what he's doing right now.
Let's take it away. Yeah. You don't like. So you're not liking this. Did you like when they went for a little romp in their socks?
Oh my. Oh, I'm trying to keep it PG here. I just want to swear up instead. I want to hear what Kevin says first.
The only thing that when I saw that for the first time was utter disbelief. Like, just, what is happening?
Exactly.
Like, why?
I thought I was fucked up when I saw the guy's head get decapitated. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But when I looked back again, even the second time through, I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah. I get they're trying to make it, obviously they're going to make it so he's fallen in love with her and there's a whole story there, but
he's going to turn from the dark side. Is that where we're setting up here? That his character.
Oh, yeah. This is like Star Wars 3 bad. Like this is like, oh.
I think it might even be Star Wars 5 bad, but
what?
Star Wars 5 is worth it. Star Wars 3 or Star Trek 3. Sorry.
Oh God, I was talking about Star Wars. I'm like, you dare not speak of Empire like that.
Oh, okay. Wait, you're talking about Return of the Jedi?
Oh, I was about to disconnect. No, I'm talking about Attack of the Clones, or not Attack of the Clones. What was the one after that? Who cares? This is a Star Trek podcast.
Revenge of the Sith, I believe.
Revenge of the Sith. That's it. Oh, terrible. Anyway. Oh,
this was relatively short.
It was
Really?
relatively short.
Thank God, because if I had to see more than 10 more seconds of that, I would have just lost my shit.
We learned a little bit more about
I'm
this.
telling you right now, guys, like if this keeps going on, I'm done. Because this is getting bad.
The romance story.
This everything about this episode for the most part, but that scene did it for me. At that point, honestly, like I didn't know what to do. I was like Kevin. Kevin was probably like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "I'm not even what the fuck." I'm like, "What? Nah."
Do you know what it kind of reminded me of was in Purple Rain when Prince takes Apollonia to that lake and he's like, "Do you want to cleanse yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka or whatever?" And he was like, well, he's just like, "This is an ancient Borg ritual."
How do you know so much about Purple Rain?
You haven't seen Purple Rain? Come on, man.
Kevin, how many times have you seen Purple Rain?
Absolutely never.
Oh, I guess that would make two of us
in
then.
any way a Prince fan.
Well,
me neither. I haven't.
Still accounting for taste.
Hey, out of the three of us, who paid to go see Cats in the theater?
It was worth it.
Oh, that's a slow burn. All right, anyway.
It was not forgettable, that's for sure.
I bet. You're still dreaming of the money you lost.
Try. It's not forgettable.
Oh, that wasn't even worth the money of the experience to remember. But anyway, I'm sure.
It was. We don't have to get into the weeds on Cats right now.
No. We're off topic. Let's get back here, boys.
Okay. Okay. So I don't think this so generic relationship is working for any of us, by the sounds of it.
That's an understatement.
In terms of like the plot points that are being pushed ahead here, like it has to do more with this. That what's her name? The Borg we met last week. The from the Shaynor, whatever her name is.
I don't remember her name.
The one that pulled a gun on her and tried to shoot her, but in this scene, Soji's like watching her old like interviews on TV, in the I guess the sick bay, like stroking her hand and feeling really like bad for her, and feeling drawn to her somehow. Is this? I don't know, like the fact that she is this destroyer or whatever, like Soji, like what is it? The word they use? It's
Gozer. That was a different movie.
They call it the destroyer, but they also say Seb Cheneb is like the Romulan word for it, or the Romulan term for it. Were you guys interested in any of this? Did you think any of that? Any of the plot?
This is mildly interesting.
Yeah, she's.
I want to know more about it. What about you, Kevin?
Yeah, for sure. But it's not enough information yet to really be intriguing or really have anything to talk about. We just know that she's going to be somebody.
My curiosity is piqued.
Somehow.
That's all I would say.
Okay, so you're not. Like,
I don't desire it, but I'm like, yeah, if they're going to tell me about it, I'll listen.
So you're not completely out on what they're doing with the story per se, but you need to see more.
Yeah.
Okay. And based on your earlier comments, it's moving a little slow.
It is, yeah. And
another problem this series has.
I'm not used to watching things week to week anymore, but
me neither, yeah.
Moving a little slow for me.
Yeah.
But like if you look at, and I know we're not trying to compare the two, and fanboys don't need to go flaming me or anything like that. They can if they want, because that's funny. But like The Mandalorian, for instance, it's being released in episodes just like this is, and same idea. But I don't feel that at the end of a Mandalorian episode, even though there is a continual storyline, there's always little mini stories in between. Right. So you kind of have like, oh, this is the episode where the Mandalorian, meets the other bounty hunter, then he's going to team up with him and show him the ropes or whatever. You still have that sideline storyline that is still like the main storyline. So to me, like when Mandalorian ends an episode, yeah, I want to watch more, but I'm not sitting there going, oh, okay, well, nothing happened yet, and just it to me, God, it's such a slow burn. And like it took us 4 episodes to get into fucking space. It's called Star Trek.
Right.
Well, where are you trekking?
I think that the show has to figure out how episodic it wants to be and how serialized it wants to be. It's trying to be a bit of both. But Jane and others want that more episodic nature if possible. So when she saw on Thursday when we first watched it that, hey, we're going on a side mission. This is like kind of a diversion. This is great. Like
I'm with her.
It's kind of slowing the story down a bit. So
yep, I'm fine with that.
So, maybe the things that we're upset about with it, the fact that it kind of felt like nothing happened other than we met maybe one new character, main character at least, and 7 of 9 came back, right? So she'll be a big part of next episode, I would imagine.
And it looks like the next episode is going to kind of be an episode on its own. Like they're all dressed up in weird clothes.
And have you seen like the previews?
Yeah, because they showed at the end of the episode.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Oh,
what?
Looks like it's going to be interesting, and it looks like it's going to be a little more of an episodic sort of thing.
So it seems like they're getting to Free Cloud.
No. I think this is some sort of side thing, but it definitely has Jerry Ryan in it,
and it'll move the story forward. But it'll be like Deep Space Nine did this really well. It had a story that ran through it, but each episode sort of stands on its own. And I think they're going to maybe this next episode looks like that might be what it's like.
Right.
Yeah. They got to get to that. We're drawing out one story right now, and it's going way too long out.
Well, I just don't think we need all these scenes on the Borg cube as much as we're getting.
Well, it's almost like they're like, okay, well, we have all this extra Borg scene footage. What are we going to do with it? Oh, well, just splice it in whenever you can. Kind of, get our episodes up to 44 minutes or whatever they are.
Deep Space Nine, they were only able to do that at the end, where we could look at like what was going on with Damar and Weyoun, and we could kind of see the villain storyline. But that was way down the show's storyline.
The characters established and a lot of the story established.
Yeah, we don't know these people. We don't particularly like them yet, it seems like, or dislike them either. We don't know a lot about Soji and Narek, and there's not been so far. I think we're out on this romance storyline. It's not really compelling. Yeah. I'd rather follow the person I know, which is Picard right now. And not Flash as much as we're getting. I guess that's I put a hard period on that thought, didn't I?
There is nothing I can add to it.
Yeah, just like what the show is going to be long term. I think that we will. I'm excited for season 2 because I think that they'll probably iron out these things we don't like. I hope there. Didn't the showrunner quit though? I think somebody was like, "Hey, what are we going to do for season 2?" Or I think Patrick Stewart said that too, whoever the showrunner was, and I think that showrunner is no longer employed. So I have no idea. We're going to see what happens there. Okay. So the only other thing we didn't touch on was the whole scene with Narek and his sister.
Cruel intentions.
Do we know that this is actually his sister, or do they call each other brother and sister because they're part of the same order?
We don't know for sure.
That's a good point.
That this is something Tal Shiar did.
There you go.
Sister. This is really weird for Star Trek.
Well, this entire episode has been chock full of weird for Star Trek.
Right. In the earlier scenes between these two, I didn't necessarily get the whole incest vibe. I certainly got it here.
Oh yeah, this is the first time that's popped up, in my opinion. The rest of the times we're just kind of, sorry, I gotta adjust here.
Yeah. Well, she's basically in bed with him, and then she's I don't know. It was kind of weird. But she's basically, the point of the whole scene was that she's not happy with how he's just flirting with Soji, much like we aren't. So maybe she's an ally character. She's on our side. Yeah. Let's keep that. Let's move this along. What are we doing here? The romance between you can only be dragged out so far.
Yeah.
As far as if we get more of this next week where they're running around their socks, I'm not going to be happy.
I am.
Yeah. No. She said, I'll give you another week, and after that we go to pain and violence. Not that I want to see this character killed because Data's other daughter, but they're using her effectively to get to some other honeypot of other androids that are somewhere at an undetermined location.
Oh, there's fucking tons of them somewhere.
Tons of them.
Yeah. It's the Clone Wars. I mean, no. Different franchise.
Right. And that's what this is all about, just saving them, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know at this point. It could be about sliding around in socks. I don't fucking know. We're all over the place. Just, I don't know. It's, God, they got to do something.
Yeah, the whole thing on the Borg cube is confusing at this point.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be any sort of sane points to it. Like, I don't know.
We just don't have enough understanding of the villain's motives right now, and I think that's what we're struggling with. We don't understand why people are doing what they're doing. We don't understand really why Soji's doing what she's doing. I think that's really where it's all coming down to. It's like we know the Romulans want to kill androids, but we don't know why. And or specifically these Tal Shiar, evil, or Jotvash, whatever they're called. And that's about it. So that's I think they need to pay that off sooner than later. We're coming up to the halfway point next week. Like, this is a 10-episode season. This will be after the next one, we'll get the halfway point.
Why things are happening.
Yeah. I need a little bit more context. I'm also interested to see, is Jerry Ryan going to be a regular on this show? Is she going to be a recurring character? Is this just kind of how much 7 of 9 are we going to get in Picard? I'm interested to see, because she's
he owes her a ship.
On credits, she's special guest star.
So she's only a recurring character then. Sounds like.
Well, at least in this episode. They might change the credits next episode. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but the only thing I can say is the little preview. The best thing about this entire episode was the preview for the next episode.
The one thing I didn't watch yet.
It was good. It was good. It looked good. It was intriguing. I'm like, ooh, I gotta watch that.
Well, what in particular? So see, Star Trek Picard.
A lot of action. A lot more action, eh, Kevin? Yeah.
And more cosplay.
A lot more cosplay.
More decapitations?
I didn't see one.
Now that Picard got him under control, I think there's going to be less beheadings.
Has there been any other beheadings in all of Star Trek? I was trying to think of this, and I'm like, next gen. I don't.
Yeah, there was one. Data got his head blown off in that cave.
He's an android. Doesn't count. All right, let's find one that isn't artificial life.
Habitation. I can't think.
I can't think of anything in DS9. Can't think of anything in Voyager. I don't know. Original series, I don't remember a lot of them, but I don't think there's any beheadings there.
I didn't mind it so much because when he got back to the ship, he got mad at him for killing that. Yeah. So I didn't mind that as much. That didn't bother me as much as the hallway.
Yeah, that escalated quickly, but the whole Romulan kung fu thing and the fact that he does that spin in the air and then he decapitates him like so fast that nobody can even react to it, right? Yeah. But then the guy, like one of the senator's henchmen, who's part of that Romulan movement or whatever it is, he goes, well, guess what? Like, you brought a knife to a gunfight. I have a gun. And he goes to shoot him. And so I just don't understand. There's a reason people don't use swords and knives anymore, because guns are more effective. So it's. And
there's never believe it with the Klingons if they were. Because they did use their melee weapons all the time, but Romulans in the other Star Treks don't ever. They're disruptors always.
Right. I guess only in ceremonial combat you used to see, like, remember when Kirk fought Spock on when the Ponfar thing in the original series. So, we've seen a bit of this.
That's Vulcans, Dave.
Well, Vulcans and Romulans are related.
They are related, but they are different.
They are different. So, yeah, okay. Well, we're splitting hairs a bit. Okay. But, yeah, what's going on next week? What's going to happen? We get 7 or 9. Like, why was she there? Why was she in that particular system? It's in the middle of nowhere.
I got the impression that next week's episode is going to explain some of that.
Why is she in a ship that nobody's ever seen before? It has no transponder.
Because she's 7 and 9.
Hopefully they will.
I want to know why she's not using her normal name now.
The Annika Hansen name?
Yeah, don't you think she would have used that by now? Like, why are you still 7 of 9?
I think she was going to. She would have done it during the Voyager tenure. That she kind of she was comfortable being called that. I think everyone's used to calling her that, so we'll just keep that going.
Now we do have to talk about this though. Like him, they find the ship. The ship is about to blow up. It bounces off the shield that apparently they have, but yet can't live in anything but huddy little houses. But
spend all their money on the defense.
Yeah, spend all their money on the defense network. Be careful, America. Could happen to you. Anyway, it might already be. Build a wall. But with that, it's the intro itself was really cool because essentially they beamed her just before her ship blew up, blah blah blah, and beamed her over, and then and I love the look that Jerry Ryan gives. She's a great actress, I think. She gives him this dirty fucking look, and he looks at her and he says 7 of 9, like he's kind of surprised, but she looks at him. She looks at him and says, Picard, like she's pissed off at him. I think there's going to be some tension here.
You owe me a ship, she says.
Yeah, and then she goes, "You owe me a ship."
Right.
But the way she said it was like, "I'm in a hurry. I don't have time for your bullshit, Picard. I got other things to do." And you just fucked that up.
It's been like 25 years since they got back from the Delta Quadrant. So she's been what she's been up to. I'm really curious to find out.
Oh, I think she's probably a leading resource for Starfleet. I think she's probably a very valuable asset somehow. She's, some sort of intelligence or something like that is what I would get her as.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think. God, I hope they bring in some Section 31.
Explain why her ship doesn't have a transponder and why they've never seen it before.
There you think she could be Section 31?
I think so. I hope that would make this series amazing.
Section 31 is
kind of give me a show with Jerry Ryan and Picard, and I'd be happy. Just put two of them on a ship and send them on their way.
Section 31 is a tough one for me because Discovery's really done a disservice to the
Discovery doesn't exist.
It does exist, unfortunately.
It used to be that Enterprise did exist. Now Enterprise exists, but Discovery doesn't.
No, neither of them. They're both.
Oh, I see.
Bad.
Fortunately, we don't get to choose what's canon. Only CBS and Paramount get to do that.
But
what I actually pay attention to.
But yeah. I have only watched 4 episodes of Discovery, and I turned it off. I'm done. So I'm not giving it the time of day. And I'll tell you, that sliding scene, man. I was getting close. I was like, do I want to actually keep going with this show now? But this is getting bad.
You stayed true with Enterprise throughout its run.
I did.
You on some level, you like that show.
I like that show, and we're not going to get into it, but I did like that show, but I like it for a completely different reason than most people don't like it for. I think it's a great bridging show. It's a show that brings in the casual viewer and the diehards. There's enough of everything for everything. It was a great balance. Especially the last 2 seasons were fantastic in my opinion.
The show was just starting to kind of get its legs.
I don't get me wrong though, terrible show when it comes compared to all the other ones, for sure.
It's the weakest of sort of that golden age era, which is like next
except for
gen.
Discovery. But anyway.
Discovery, like season 1 was fine, mostly, but season 2 was.
Can't agree with you there. Are you still watching that, Kevin?
What? Sorry.
Discovery. Are you still watching Discovery?
Absolutely not.
Okay, when did you stop?
I
started the first season.
I watched the first episode of the second season, and I was like, "No, I'm out."
Okay. Well, I think I'm now. I have to watch if it's got Star Trek on it. I think I have to watch it now. So,
and also, Dave, you said the first season was fine. It was not. I was giving it another chance with the second season, and after the first episode, I was like, "Nope, none of this has been good."
Right.
All right. This is a Picard podcast, though.
It's a Picard podcast. So when Discovery comes back, if anybody wants to join me for some season 3 recaps, I would like a dissenting voice among the crowd.
Maybe. I bet you this gets more views than that.
Oh, it does.
I don't think I'll be on that one because it'll be really boring for everybody to be like, for me to just be like, no, I didn't see that.
I didn't watch it.
I didn't see that.
I didn't watch it,
but I'm here. So.
But anyway, the intro of 7 I thought was well done for what they did. Obviously, they did it right at the end as a cliffhanger. I don't know why we need a cliffhanger in a CBS All Access only show. Don't know why. What's that?
Because it's week to week.
We still don't need a cliffhanger. I don't think they need it.
They're trying to bring back those viewers every week. Like, I got to see what happened. That's kind of what they're trying to accomplish there.
Half the people that are going to be interested in this show aren't going to watch it until the full season's ready anyway. And then they're just going to binge it.
Right.
So, and that's what a lot of people do now. Yeah. A lot of people just wait. They avoid the spoilers.
I would have done if I didn't think you guys were going to ruin it for me.
Well,
we were going to ruin it for you. You know that.
Because we have to be part of this. But
it's true. I'd be like, Kevin, did you see that?
Each time I come back, like I've watched every one of these 4 episodes twice. The second time is always better for me.
Not this episode. The second was painful. Yeah, and you know what? The entire first part of the whole episode, the second running I was going through. So the first running I ran through, and I was like, right. So then the second one I'm going and I'm doing my notes because I like to watch it as like the fan, and then I do the second one where I analyze it, right? So I'm going through the second one, and the entire thing I can think of on my mind the entire time I'm watching this is, oh God, when is that terrible slide scene coming? Because I couldn't remember exactly where it was in the episode, but I'm like, it's coming, and it was dread. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to sit through this again. I'm just gonna try to fast forward it. I don't care. Blah blah blah. But then I'm like, I might catch something. And I will admit though, the head tweak was probably the coolest part of that entire thing.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
I'm surprised you didn't. Go back and just see it's right when he says, oh, I got something to show you or something like that. He says something like that. And there's just a part where they're walking down a hallway and she's behind him and she literally just almost looks at the camera and just goes like that when he says it.
Yeah,
it was just so cool how she did it. I don't know if it was on purpose or not. I hope it was because it was definitely cool to see that because it's like that's literally that Data's tweak. It's the same thing. He did it too. So obviously it's like it's something that's been passed down.
Connecting that together.
Yeah, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I think we should all go back and watch that scene. We can look at the head tweak. You guys can then think about how it connects to Purple Rain and that scene with Apollonia and Prince, right? So win-win for
Kevin, you should come over. We'll have a Purple Rain viewing party.
No.
Or anything else.
Literally anything else.
Almost anything else.
Almost. No Discovery.
Except for Discovery.
This is more
Discovery or that sliding scene?
Discovery. Because Discovery.
Okay. Oh, I see. It's a length thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think that's all my thoughts for this episode. And we're coming up to an hour. So
I think we covered everything. The best part of this episode clearly was the preview for the next one.
Okay, I'm going to go watch that next. I'm excited for.
You should have watched it before we did this.
Yeah.
What did you think you were on?
I don't know.
Did you not think you were on a podcast about this show?
I did.
Anyway,
I've been busy. Come on.
I've been busy.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, and by the way, you guys don't have to hang up when I end the podcast. So
I think he's saying that for you, Kevin.
Yes. Because often I go, hey, bye.
Literally, Dave will be like, all right, so guys, that was pretty good. And then Kevin drops.
Yeah, because I drop automatically. When you end the stream, I'm gone.
Really? Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't do that on purpose.
Oh, I thought he did.
And as a matter of fact, through this entire episode, all I've been able to see is it says, your stream is over.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we recorded them.
Well, worst case, I'll upload the video because this is recording on my end too. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode, and we'll be back next week to cover episode 5, which sounds more exciting by all accounts.
Yeah, please be better.
I
I'm not
I
a
think
praying
it was
man.
weakest so far, but definitely I didn't dislike the episode at all. All right. If I have to be absolutely candid with everybody. Haha. All right. I'm Dave.
That's Kevin.
Yep, that's me.
And Jody.
I'm Jody.
And we'll catch you next time on Live Long and Podcast. Catch you on the flip side.
Oh, Jesus, Dave.